Here we are, Sebastian, our very first video, and I would like to introduce us together, or me and you and we and everybody together, as well as my little dog behind. And yeah, here we are, you and me together as the founders of a company, Layoutr,
Yes.
trying to bring up our very first video for YouTube, explaining us and our idea and giving an idea of why we founded that company.
Yeah. So, hi everybody. I'm Sebastian. I am one of the co-founders of Laioutr. Currently CTO. Yeah. That's probably about it from my side. Marcel.
And I'm Marcel, also the founder of Layoutr. Sebastian, maybe let's start at the beginning. Yeah, you already said you are the CTO, but who are you personally, and how did you end up founding a company with me?
Well, yeah. So, I have been a front-end or rather full stack developer for the past 15 years or something now. Yeah. And so I've spent most of my time working on e-commerce systems. So starting back with Shopware 4, then Shopware 5, Shopify, commerce tools, whatever. Basically had my hands on all currently existing shop systems on the market. And what always bothered me was from a front-end perspective, there were not really very comprehensive technologies for building actual front ends. Marcel and I basically got together. We had this idea about founding a company which makes development and maintenance and content management and whatever for e-commerce front ends. Basically, a nice experience, like an all-in-one experience for building front ends. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically also the way Marcel and I met 12 years ago, I think now, back when we worked at an e-commerce company, my first job. Um,
And you
yeah,
moved to Berlin then, back then?
yeah, exactly. Was a very interesting time back then, but yeah.
I always had that part of software or that idea in mind back then when I worked on my very first Commerce Tools project together with you and together with the CTO of Commerce Tools back then when they had their very first office here in the near of the Friedrichstraße. And yeah, I always found that when the market moved a bit into the headless and best of breed and composable ideas and stuff, that we repeatedly doing our job from customer to customer, and especially in the when you slice up the projects into different parts, then especially in the front end part, it was always a kind of a hassle because also the technologies behind moved a bit further and get more complex. The browsers get more complex over the last 15 years and stuff like that. So I always found ending up the projects into more complexity on the front end side and finding that the project's going easier on the backend side because the frameworks on the PHP evolved. We had that Symfony next versions. We have that not Layouter but Laravel stuff coming in, and then agencies trying to doing their projects based on that. And but always front end was a bit of a mess. Sebastian, um, what was the moment for you when it comes clear that we need some kind of layout, or what was the moment where you said, "Okay, that's a thing where somebody really likes to pay for"?
Well, to be honest, I think it all started with my very first Commerce Tools project, the first actual headless frontend I built, or rather frontend for a headless system or multiple headless systems. Basically, with the very first task working on a project, it becomes clear that in order to have the customer or the owner of the shop being able to work fast with the headless software you have. So, for example, commerce tools or commerce, sorry, content management systems. Um, that you need to provide them with a way to get to the end goal they want to reach, like a fully stacked e-commerce front end. And way back then, it was probably like 6, 7 years ago, there was no real solution for that. And that always sucked because you have a long time to market, because every feature you want to integrate into your front end needs to be developed from scratch by developers, starting with the back end and then moving data into the front end. And then in the front end, you have to build all of the components to display your data and whatnot. And so that was like the regular development flow. And it basically meant that you were building pages and you said, okay, this element comes here, this element comes here, and this comes there. And whenever the customer wanted to have a change, or wanted to add a new element or whatever, there was a new development effort you had to go through to actually do that. Time went on and things and headless CMSs got a little bit better, but there was always this big hurdle that you had to do development work to do fundamental feature development for shops.
Yeah.
So that basically was my moment of coming to terms that there's no such software for this, and basically led Marcel and me to get our heads together and think about how we can build a solution for that problem space. What do we actually do? What is it that Laioutr does?
What do we do? I mean, you already explained a little bit now. Over the last 10 years or the last 15 years, also the front-end frameworks evolved way more than we got that React stuff, we got that Vue stuff, we got that Angular stuff. We together worked with different or for different customers or for different companies with different technologies, and always found that it's even if you have a base framework ready to go as a tool box for you to use and get something done for the company you work for customers, no matter what you think of, it always was like a project. It always had that risk inside and always needed to get a lot of process before to get properly defined. Then you created all those processes before, and trying to get everything in the right space and everything running. And I think Layouter shortens up a lot of this creation work. But we do not say that Layouter brings in the customer in a box or the developer into a box or even the UX designer into a box. We, as Layouter, try to combine user experience design, as well as user interface design and technology. We try to combine everything into one usable abstract software, which is eligible to work as a product on a front-end side instead of being somehow a project. Even if you just create a little component or a front-end feature or something, you always needed to define the data behind, you needed to define the visual aspect and the configuration on that visual and stuff like that. And it's always something what needed a lot of time and especially a lot of money. And Layouter tries to shorten that up. So from a technical perspective, what do you think? What is the biggest advantage of companies when they use Layouter from your perspective, even especially for the developers there?
So from a developer's perspective, for me, it's pretty easy. My top priority is always to have a developer experience first, right? So that means that whatever you do in the context of Layouter, you always have good documentation, you have type safety, and you always know what you're doing. And by providing that, we basically say, okay, building new components or building connectors to whatever system you're imagining is as easy as possible. So that you get up fast, you get to your product in a short amount of time, and you can be sure that at least from what you've done. There's no risk of ruining whatever you're building, right? Um, Marcel, tell me. We've had a look at a few other products over our careers which provide similar features on the surface to what Layoutr does. But what exactly is it that Layoutr does different from other systems, from other page builders?
Yeah, I would say that we we have that configuration thing like Studio where you can configure and build up your front end on a business site, and that's quite cool and totally okayish. And for me, layout is the solution and the only way actually existing on the market to not build frontends as a result as an individual software. We say when you build up a frontend on Layoutr, then it will be the last migration you ever do on the frontend side because we think frontend as a product, and our partners and customers become frontend as a product, but also not just a fixed box to get used the way we created it. They can define and adjust the corners and the needings they have on a framework which just works. And this results, from my perspective, totally to lower initial setup costs. You do not need to create 6 months of projects to create a front end. You do not need 3 months of design phases, yeah, because you shorten it up to the things a business really needs, to the last 20% of a business really expects to get done. But we do not speak about buttons and icons and texts anymore. Layoutr is a truly front-end product built for business teams, usable by developers, and as a result, we can combine both into one really predictable converting front-end application. And that's a good idea, I think, in general. What is the thing you love at Layoutr, using Layoutr, building and creating Layoutr for other developers? What you expected back then when we did an agency and doing a lot of projects. I think we did more than 30 projects based on a lot of different e-commerce systems, connecting a lot of systems together. But from a technical perspective or from your perspective as CTO, what makes Layoutr truly different to building up an individual application and doing that?
Yeah, well, so first of all, I think what's interesting, as you said, the 30 different projects we created, all of those could have been done with Layoutr, right? Basically, we could have a single front end stack, a single shared library, for example, with components or connectors or whatever, which we could have reused over and over again for all of our different customers,
Hmm.
back when we were working for an agency. On the other hand, like I said previously, we prioritize developer experience, which cannot be said about a lot of systems that I've had the pleasure of working with. So we try to stay predictable. We try to not surprise developers or users, that you don't experience any issues which you did not see coming. So basically, when I would have loved to have Layoutr back then, because it would have meant that we have a single platform where we can always work on our customers' projects and always evolve them further. There would have been no big replatforming that need to be done, because regardless of the underlying e-commerce system, we could have just stayed on Layoutr with the front end, which have been quite a few projects, quite a few migration projects in the past for me. Just imagine that you are migrating from Shopify to Shopware, for example, and you have all of those features already integrated on your product detail pages, in your basket, in on the wish list or wherever, and you just wanted to retain all of those features while simply migrating your underlying e-commerce system. If you do not have a very good custom front end already for your headless systems,
Hmm.
you would basically need to recreate all of the work that you've already done over the past few years sometimes. And with Layoutr, you can just say, okay, Um, Instead of using Shopify now, we use Shopware as the data source, for example. And this idea basically everything in Layout revolves around this idea of composability, right?
Mm.
That Layout itself doesn't really care what where the data comes from, or where your actions, for example, go, which system you log into, or which system is being tasked of tracking which products you have on your wish list.
Hmm.
Right? Layout simply does not really care about that. The connectors do all of the heavy work for that. So that's basically what Layouter gives you. It gives you true composability over all of the different multitudes of systems you might have connected,
Mm.
which might be you have an e-commerce system, right? You have a recommendation engine for product recommendations. You have a search engine for your on-site search and auto suggest. Shopify itself does not bring you a wish list, right? So if you're using Shopify, you also need to have a Shopify app for wish lists, right?
Yep.
So that's 50 different systems sometimes, and all of those doing a integral part of your page, each providing a very fundamental piece of features to your front end. And Layout is built for a case like that, right? Where you can simply say, okay, I'll take this from here and that from there, put it all together into a front end, and it simply works. Layout are made for, right?
Yeah.
I've given a few examples of like composable front ends, but it's all technical terms. In terms of non-developers, who would you say is Layout made for?
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's from two. Normally, CEOs have that ICP in mind all the time and building up the presentations based on that. What I normally say is that building up a front end is a good idea for everybody, and building up a good working front end is also a good idea for everybody. But in general, we do not pitch the Shopify default template customers, I would say, because they create their simple Shopify setup with a $300 template and do their little adjustments on the template engine side, and then they're probably fine with their market go-to-market strategy and their communication strategy to their customers. I think Layouter is built for nearly everybody, no matter how much revenue he does. Nearly everybody who likes to work as best as possible in on the communication level, on the visual level to the customer, who likes to improve on a conversion level all the time, trying to think of how does the customer would like to get a product viewed, how is the product combined with other product in a recommendation slider, how does should the sorting of different sliders should be done, and yeah, building up all the little individual pieces for a nearly perfect front-end experience, not just on a visual level, but also on a conversion and the technical level, to build up a front-end as best as possible on a high class, I would say, high class level, not just a template result somehow, yeah, with all the little issues you face here with content management, tracking, and everything related to images, asset handling, doing the CDN magic with image asset sources and stuff like that. It's one more time a bit of the technical perspective, but that's a lot of things which are based on a technical level. Yeah, so building up a frontend on a high class level is a technical thing. It's not a business thing, but the result is a very business related very business related result, because the one who has to pay the party somehow needs to pay one time for a perfect result, then paying month over month, year over year, and then resulting in another project somehow for another 100 to 250,000 euros. And yeah, basically that's why we say Layouter is for everybody who likes to doing e-commerce and doing e-commerce right, not just doing something what looks like a shop or a digital communication. I think we need some shorter answers here, but for our very first interview and this kind of stuff. I think that's a good way to answer that right now.
What are our next steps, and what is our plan? Where we
Yeah.
do see we see Layoutr in like 2 to 3 years?
Yes. Um, So one of the major steps we do right now is building up our partner ecosystem or ecosystem. We try to create long-lasting relationships between every agency who is doing projects, no matter what system behind. We have partnerships with Zylius, with Vendio, with Commerce Tools, with Shopware and Shopify. As an agnostic frontend, we don't make any difference between all those vendors because we say we normally do frontend better than everybody else. That's also a learning I had with doing projects all the time in the last 20 years. Nobody really likes to put effort into frontend. Everybody needs somehow a visual part of their system, but frontend always was something where everybody expected and accepted that there needs to get or that there's some need of budget into. And I think this is over now because the backend part evolved and there's a license model behind, and you get uh, this amount of features and they work because you pay the license to get them working. And on the front end side, there was the same business model missing somehow. And we created that business model now so the customers get a partner here as well. General vision of Layout is that we build up the long-lasting front end where we would like to build up relationships with customers where they use our software and our front-end solution over the next 20, 30, 50, 50 years. And we say that we make sure that everybody has a good working solution and a good partner behind that topic, freeing them up from putting money into that topic every 3 to 5 years again. Sebastian, one of our last question in our script, and then we have 30 minutes over and need to shorten it up to 10 somehow, is on a personal note, what keep you pushing Layoutr forward? Why do you put your personal money into it, and why did you say that it's a good idea?
Well, I think the biggest motivator for me is just the technical aspect of this, of building a ecosystem for e-commerce frontends,
Mhm,
regardless of where you're coming from. If you're a developer and you're working on e-commerce frontends or frontends in general, to be honest, um, I want to build an ecosystem for providing that, for basically plug and play, uh, uh, putting your front end together out of different apps, of different integrations, and just having the ability to create new front ends from scratch in like 1 or maybe 2 hours, completely done, right?
mhm.
And I just love that idea, and I want to bring that to everybody who has the need for that. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun actually to build this software, because there's like hundreds, maybe thousands of idea I have floating around in my head of how this could be used to improve the ecosystem as a whole, the front end
Mm.
ecosystem. And yeah, just providing the ability to build stuff with Layoutr gives me joy. Yeah. What is it for you? Why do you put so much energy into Layoutr?
Uh, because I wanted to create that since 2015. And I think it's a good idea to make stuff working for customers the way we did it and freeing them up from budgets over budgets over budgets. Not just because I say nobody has to earn money, but people who have to provide the budgets need to earn that money. And I always said that building up e-commerce solutions in general should not that be hard. I mean, in the end, it's a homepage, a product listing page, a product detail page, a cart, and a checkout, and an interface to a system which proceeds orders and puts stuff in a package and blah blah blah. So I think I am absolutely sure that building up a front end the way we did that, thinking UX and tech combined in a product is the last is the solution to the last missing puzzle of e-commerce solutions in general for every trading company. And there's no reason why you should not put your money to a license partner for the front-end side, but either put your money on a budget side in a front-end projects where you are not sure what you get, which quality you receive, and which real money you need in the end. And everybody of us learned that. And that's why I think we need to finish that up and free the world of it for it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So thank you for listening. So if you want to learn more about Layoutr, feel free to check out our website at layoutr.com.
Yeah. Or subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. It's the very first video we created here for that channel. Hopefully you like it. And we regularly post new videos about our software, about everything what we created. We try to bring up, that's the basic idea behind. We try to bring up a Friday fireside chat between Sebastian and me, where we speak 10 minutes about what we did and achieved that in that week and what we created and which challenges we had and stuff like that. And yeah, just bring up our Reise, our journey, and insights into how we as a company become faster, become more flexible for you as a customer or you as a partner. So yeah, thank you for watching and see you again. Bye
See
bye.
you soon.